All right, guys, second video. Okay, the Scottish Hammer, one of my all-time favorite NFL players. Okay, so he is going to attempt a field goal, and the ball is at midfield, right smack in between the uprights. Okay, so let's see. We got to write our parametrics. All right, so let's see. First thing, the initial velocity, okay, is 165 feet per second. Okay, let's see. Theta is 40 degrees. Okay. All right, and the ball in the NFL, they don't use a kicking tee usually for field goals, okay? But even if they used a kicking tee, it'd only be a couple of inches above the ground. So we're gonna put our HK, okay, at 0, 0. Okay, so let's see, let's get our equations here. Okay, so our horizontal distance is our x of t. So it'd be x of t equals the initial velocity, which is 165, times the cosine of theta, which is 40 degrees, and that is times t, okay, plus h, which is 0. Okay, so my x of t equals, we got to punch that into our calculator, and again, make sure you're in degrees. So let's see, 165 times the cosine of 40 degrees. Okay, so you're getting roughly 126.40, 126.40 t, and then obviously the plus 0, we just dropped that off. Okay, so I've got my distance. All right, now we go with our height. Okay, so that's our y of t. So y of t equals negative 16t squared plus the initial velocity, 165, times the sine of theta, which is 40 degrees, and I'm writing 4 as opposed to 40 because it's 7 o'clock in the morning. Okay, plus k, which is 0. Okay, so we just have to simplify this. So y of t is negative 16t squared, and then let's punch in 165 times the sine of 40 and round off to the nearest hundredth. So I get roughly about 106.06 t, and the plus 0 just goes away. Okay, so I've got my x of t and y of t here. Okay, so let's see. We want to look at a flight path of the ball. All right, now, here's ground level. And we know that that ball is going to be kicked from the ground, okay, basically. And we know that it's going to be parabolic. Okay, so it's going to do this, the flight path. Okay, and so since we kicked from the ground, okay, this would be height equals 0, okay, and this would be height equals 0, okay. All right, so we have two x-intercepts, obviously, okay, and let's see what's going on here. Okay, so I don't know whether or not, okay, he's going to make this field goal. So if the goalposts are in here somewhere, he might make it. But if the goalposts are out here, obviously it falls short. Okay, so let's see what's happening at, y equals 0 and y equals 0. So obviously the height is 0. So I got to set my y of t equal to 0, okay, and solve that, okay, to get my times here. Okay, so let's go negative 16t squared plus 106.06 t equals 0. All right, now I could use the quadratic formula if I want to, but I don't need to because I can just solve this by factoring. So if I factor out a t, I'm sorry, I don't need an equal sign there. Again, it's 7 o'clock in the morning as I'm doing this. So if I factor out a t, I get negative 16t plus 106.06 equals 0. Okay, now this makes sense because we get t equals 0, which you would expect, okay, because it's kicked from the ground. Okay, so t equals 0. And then I'm going to have to set negative 16t plus 106.06 equal to 0. Okay, so I get 106.06 equal to 16t. And so I'm going to have to divide there. So if we go 106.06 divided by 16, I get roughly 6.63 seconds. Okay, obviously this is seconds. Okay, so, boy, that ball's up in the air for a long time. Okay, so this is t equals 6.63 seconds. Okay. All right, so this ball is in the air for more than 6.5 seconds. So we say, okay, well, how far did it travel? How far did that ball travel? Okay, from here to here. Okay, so distance, how far, horizontal distance is my x of t. And this is 6.63 seconds. So if I go x of 6.63 seconds, I get 126.40 times 6.63 seconds. And we know this is an approximation. So 126.40 times 6.63. Oh, so that is 838.03 feet. Well, he is the Scottish Hammer, okay? So that is a lot of distance there. Okay, so let's see, we have 838.03 feet. Okay. All right, so let's see, what do we got to do next? Wants to know, did he actually make the field goal? Okay, so let's see what happens. All right, so how far is the field goal? Well, let's see. Okay, it said the ball was at midfield. Okay, so this is mid, well, no, I shouldn't even say that. Okay, midfield. Okay, which is at the 50-yard line. Okay, now, when you set up for a field goal, you're always 7 yards behind the ball. Okay, so midfield would be down in here at the 50-yard line, and then we would have an additional 7 yards, okay, from where he kicks the ball. Okay, so we have the 50 yards, okay, 50 yards, but then the goal post is at the back of the end zone, and the end zone is 10 yards deep. Okay, so it'd be another 10 yards right there. So we have a total of 10 yards of end zone plus 50 yards of playing field plus another 7 yards. Okay, so that's 67 yards. 67 yards. Okay, so, but notice we're in feet here. So we convert from yards to feet. So we go 67 times 3. 67 times 3, 201 feet. Okay, so we know that goal post here is 201 feet, okay, from the point of where he kicks the ball. So clearly, if the ball travels 838.03 feet, it's long enough, but is it high enough? Okay, so we go back here and we say, okay, well, what's going on? In the NFL, the crossbar is 10 feet high. Okay, so that means this right here is 10 feet. Okay, so at 201 feet, okay, how high is the ball? Okay, so let's see. So we've got to figure out, well, how many seconds does it take for the ball to reach 201 feet? Okay, so 201 is distance, horizontal distance, so that's x of t. Okay, so if we go x of t equals 126.40 t, and we use our horizontal distance of 201 feet, we figure out how long will it take that ball to travel 201 feet horizontally. So just do your division. 126.40 divided by 201, and it looks like it's 0.63 seconds. Like that. Okay, so it takes less than a second, because he's the Scottish Hammer. Okay, it takes less than a second for that ball to travel 201 feet. Okay, so let's see. So if we figure out the height at 0.63 seconds, and it's less than 10 feet, he misses it. If it's more than 10 feet, he makes it. Okay, so height is right here. So we have to take our y of t equals negative 16t squared plus 106.06 t, and we've got to figure out, well, what's the height at 0.63 seconds? So negative 16 times 0.63 squared plus 106.06 times 0.63. And this will give us our height. So we go to our calculator, 0.63 squared times negative 16, okay, plus 106.06 times 0.63. And we are 60.47 feet. Okay, so if this is 10 feet, right here, when the ball is right over top of the goalpost, it's at 60.47 feet, okay, which means that yes, field goal is good, and it looks like the Brownies win, which of course they didn't do yesterday. Okay, that'll wrap it up.